What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today for the review for Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 1, Episode 9. Is next week the finale, you guys? I believe it is. I can't believe it's the finale. Like, I'm really enjoying this show. And this episode right here, loyal to the end. Whoo! Jesus. It was a good one. It was amazing. So with that out the way, and without further ado, before we get into this video, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not already subscribed to the channel, then I will need you guys to do me a big solid favor and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified of when I drop anything else, and share the video. And it's and with that out the way, without further ado, let's talk about Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode, I'm gonna start up with Marvin. So you guys remember in last week's episode, we saw Marvin as he was trying to, he got Lulu out that burning house. So we see Marvin. He gets into a van that has been driven by Little Rob, right? So Little Rob and Marvin drive off. So then we see Neek and his boys as they picking up some kid. They never said who the kid was, but they're picking up some kid. So Neek and the kid are in the back seat, right? So then Marvin and Rob pull up. They start blasting Neek's car, but Neek's car is bulletproof. Then they shoot out Neek's boy's car. That ain't bulletproof. Neither is that van that Lil Rob and Marvin are in. That ain't bulletproof either. But, like I said, Marvin blasted, didn't get Neek, but got one of Neek's boys, and then some other people pulled up shooting at Lil Rob and Marvin. So after that, we see, Marvin and Lil Rob, they go back to the place that Marvin got picked up from, right? So Marvin is about to, kill Lil Rob for, ratting out Kanan, right? But Lil Rob was like, they was trying to put a murder rap on me, man. Like, they weren't going to arrest that little nigga. And Marvin's like, that shit ain't faze me, right? He's like, man, I get it. Boom! Marvin took out Lil Rob. So then we see Marvin later in the episode. So Marvin has presented Kanan with a gat from Rock. And Kanan is clowning the fuck out of, Marvin for the music that he's listening to, right? So like, Juke got some good music in her room, so let me go get that. He's like, nah, nigga, you sit here, finish that. I'm gonna go get the music. So he goes in Juke's room. He's looking around her room. Then he finds music, but I guess it wasn't something he wanted to listen to. So he starts going through drawer after drawer, and then he comes to this bottom drawer. He couldn't open it, so he finally just, literally pulls the bitch hard enough that, from a photo booth, pictures fall out, and then that VHS tape of Juke and Nicole falls out, right? So in the photo booth pics, you can see Juke and Nicole as they all, close each other, making kissy faces at each other, and then he watches the video. So he's watching that video, and he is fuming at this point, right? So then Kanan comes in saying, hey, Rock wants me to meet her with 2 gats. And then, he's like, do you want me to pass out? You want to pass out the other gats? And Marvin was pissed off. He told him, nigga, he said something to him. And Kanan's like, all right, nigga, like, fine, I'm out. I'm out this bitch. So Kanan leaves. So we're going to put a button on that, and we'll come back to it. So let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So Lulu is not dead. Lulu is in the hospital, but Lulu, I'm thinking at this point they may have put Lulu in like a medically induced coma, right? So Jessica and Rock are there, right? So Rock came in and told Jessica, hey, how about you go home, right? And take care of yourself, and she'll hold it down. So Jessica does end up leaving, right? So when Jessica left, there was a knock at the door, and it's Symphony. So Symphony's come to the hospital to check on Rock. Now, Rock, why you gotta be so... Rock was cold as hell to Symphony. Like, I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Because she's telling him the shit with them was not real, and she started to forget who she was. And she can't let that happen no more, right? So he's like, I love you, right? And she was like, once again, the shit between them, it ain't real. She tells him, you'll find some college hoes to fuck soon enough. He says, fuck you. And oh yeah, tell Marvin that Tony can't be trusted. So then I'm gonna go ahead and just let this one out because it's nowhere else for me to put this. Since we're talking about Lulu, right? They kept talking about Lulu in this episode. We'll talk about him again, but I'm just gonna let you guys know Lulu woke up at the end of the episode. So we're gonna talk about, like I said, we'll talk about Lulu again. Actually, can we talk about him now? No, because I'm talking about him with Juke. But we'll talk about it again. So let's talk about, so since I'm talking about Rock in this scene, let's continue with Rock. So Rock and Marvin, they were in the chapel, right? And they were cussing up a storm in that fucking chapel. So he tells her that Neek's shit is bulletproof, but Lil Rob said that shit wasn't bulletproof, right? So Rock told, Marvin, like, Marvin, I wanted you to stand down. Like, you fucking, like, I didn't want you to fuck with Neek. Like, you messing up shit that I got in motion. So she tells him about Neek. She says, her and Neek, he tells her that Neek is bringing in crews from outside. And Rock says to Marvin that she wants him to come back. And, he's just telling her, if I do come, he's talking about how he wants to be treated, right? He's like, you are smarter than me. Like, you know this shit. Like, this shit, you think things that I don't think, right? But I also want to be respected as a man. So she tells him, like, go get your boys go get your boys, get them strapped up and out on the corners, right? And they gonna need whatever loot they can get for whatever happens next. And he was like, well, what's next? She says, a revolution, nigga. I'm gonna pause here and we're gonna talk about Howard. Ooh. Let's move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up, let's talk about Howard. So Howard is at the hospital, still smoking a square. I'm like, nigga, you are terminally ill, basically, and you still smoking cigarettes. But whatever, right? But it's a good thing that he is smoking this cigarette, because he notices that this woman that's dressed as, I guess, like I don't know if she was supposed to be a nurse or a CNA. No offense to anybody, but I don't know how nurses and CNA, I don't know how people dressed in that time. So I can't really say. I know how people dress in this day and age. Nurses versus CNAs versus orderlies. I know how those people dress now, but in the 90s, I can't tell you. So I'm just going to call her a nurse. So we see her, and we see some of Neek's boys pull up to the hospital. They get out. And when they got out, she gave them a bag. In the bag, it had a badge and all that kind of shit, right? So they paid her. So then they go inside the hospital. They dress as orderlies. They go into Lulu's room to basically finish what they had already started, right? So they got like those little containers where you can put your food in, right? So they got guns in there. So they put the silencers on them bitches, and they roll a gurney in there, right? So when they did that, they took they had the gun ready to to shoot, but thankfully Howard and the rest of his guys arrested them, right? So then Howard is talking to Rock. Howard is telling Rock, like, he's tired of this shit, right? He done already warned Rock once. So at this point, he says he's going to get a warrant. And if you don't tell Kanan who he is, that Kanan is basically going to go to jail, right? So she says, okay, if I do this for you, then you got to stay out of my... I love her. I love the fact that, I don't know if she's from New York or not, but that accent, spot on, right? So she says to him, if I do this for you, you got to stay out of my business, leave my people alone. Fuck with them at the tailor shop and get them out of my way, right? So he tells her that if he sees her or Marvin at the meetup with Kanan, that they getting wet up, right? Now, can you guys tell me what the fuck that means, getting wet up? Does that mean? See, I don't know what wet up means. I'm not from New York, so does that mean they getting I guess I just answered my own question, right? They're getting wet up, sprayed. You guys can still let me know if that's correct. I don't know. Let me know. So Howard, we see him talking to his doctor, right? And he's telling her about meeting up with Kanan, right? But it's complicated between him and Rock. And she's like, I told you that before we can even do anything with bone marrow, that you have to have the consent from his legal guardian. Nigga, you ain't getting that shit. You definitely ain't getting that shit. So then we see Howard. He's back at the office, right? And he's asking Burke, where was she? and we're gonna talk about Burke in just a little bit. So Burke said, he said he was looking for her, right? And she said he says he was dealing with some personal shit, and she tells him that she talked to Jukebox, and she found out, the crack that they found. She knows that Nicole, Juke's friend, died because of that, right? And she was she was hoping that she could trace it back to Kanan. And how was like, I told you it was some heads from outside the city, outside the neighborhood. And he basically told her to leave the shit alone. I don't think she's gonna leave this shit alone. And especially what happened at the end of the episode, I think this is gonna, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna end up for Rock, right? I just don't know. I know what they're trying to do, but is it gonna work is the question. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So then we see Jukebox. So Jukebox is at Nicole's grave, right? Then Burke pulls up on her. Burke is creepy as hell, right? She's like a stalker. So Burke is saying that, she's sorry about Nicole, and she asked Juke if the Thompson hadn't treated her well, right? So then she also tells Jukebox that she heard about Lulu. And so we finally got a little bit of backstory on Burke. Burke is obviously a lesbian. So she's trying to find any kind of common ground with Jukebox. I'm wondering if Burke is the reason that Jukebox even became a cop in the first place, right? Like, that's gonna be interesting to get deeper into Jukebox's story. I think that's gonna be fascinating when we get deeper into her story, especially how she came to be the Jukebox that we knew from the original Power. That'll be interesting to see, right? So Burke, she's basically just giving Jukebox her life story. She's talking about the fact that her brother killed himself and that he's the reason that she became a cop because her dad wanted her brother to become a cop. So when he died, she just basically felt like she was stepping in, taking his, filling his shoes. I'm like, okay. So then she asked her about the drugs, and she mentions Kanan, and Jukebox like, nah, Kanan had nothing to do with that shit. And even if you thought Kanan had something to do with it, you obviously ain't got enough information on him to even arrest him. And then she mentions D-Wiz, right? And I'm like, girl, you are just putting all your cards on the table at this point, right? Not even slick about it, right? So then we see Jukebox. Jukebox went to the hospital, right? Jessica was there. And this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago, when they were talking about Lulu before he actually woke up, because they expected him to wake up earlier, but he hadn't woke up. So Jessica's like, it's probably some fucked up shit with him that they just don't know about, right? So then Rock came in, and she told Jukebox, she's sorry about Nicole. So then Jukebox like, can I talk to you? So she and Rock want to talk, right? So she tells her that Burke, pulled up on her, was talking about Kanan, with the blue caps, D-Wiz, Buck 20, all of them, right? So Rock told her not to worry about it, right? But then Rock also said, it ain't that bad to have a cop as a friend, have a cop as a friend, right? Because she, Jukebox like, I ain't no snitch. She's like, nah, it ain't a bad thing to have a cop on your side. Like, you can use that to your advantage, right? And I think that's what's gonna happen. So then we see Jukebox. She got home, and Marvin had fucked up that room, right? So then Marvin asked her, and these are his words. Don't shoot me, you guys. He asked her, was she a girl faggot? I'm like, damn. Then he said, are you on some Lebanese type of? Are you a Lebanese or some shit? I'm like, Marvin, it's a lesbian. Lebanese is Lebanese. Those are people that's from Lebanon, right? That's people from Lebanon. A Lebanese. He said a Lebanese. He said, you get all that shit from your mom's side. Speaking of her mom, we will see her mother in season 2, who will be portrayed by LaToya Luckett. So he asked her about Nicole, and she says she's dead. He says that's what happens to bitches who violates God's will. I'm like, well, damn. She says, well, what about you, Marvin? Because you violate a lot of shit, don't you? So then he slapped the fuck out of her. I will say in this scene, Jukebox, she gave it to Marvin a little bit, and she left. So then we see Jukebox. She met up with Burke, right? So they go for a ride, and Juke tells her that, she's in danger and the rest of her cop friends are in danger as well. She says that Neek is going to hit them because they hit his rib. I'm like, oh, shiznit. Oh, shiznai. All right, you guys, I'm going to pause here and we're going to wrap the episode up because this is where things got interesting. All right, you guys, let's talk about Kanan. So we saw Kanan at the hospital, and he was asking, Rock, why didn't Lou get moved? And she says Neek's guys kind of finished the job, but the cops stopped it. So Kanan tells Rock that he want to help her, and he ain't going nowhere. I'm like, ooh, those words are gonna come back to haunt somebody. So you guys remember I told you that Rock called Kanan to bring the two guests, right? So we see Rock and Kanan, they doing some target practice, right? So she's schooling him on how to take a nigga out, basically, like 2 shots here and then a shot here. Remember that. So we see Neek. Neek got his crew together, right? And he telling them that whoever is down with Rock, take them out, right? Anybody that fucks with Rock, I want them motherfuckers dead, basically, right? So Rock is at church, right? And then her mom asks, like, you ain't been to church in a year. Like, what you doing here? And, I was like, well, her mama is cold-blooded as fuck, right? You know who her mama reminds me of? Rock's mama is similar to Tasha's mama in the original Power. Like, they don't want to take no responsibility for none of this shit that they've done, right? Like, they ain't taking no responsibility. Because, we all know how Tasha's mama is. Tasha's mama wanted Tasha to stay with Ghost, knowing the nigga was cheating on her with that goddamn Angela. Somebody left it in my comment section last week that oh God. Somebody left it in the comment section last week that Burke is giving him Angela vibes. God, no. Ugh. We suffered through Angela for 6 fucking seasons. If Burke turns out to be any bit half of what Angela is, I'm gonna jump through the TV screen my damn self, take whoever's gun, take her gun, and pop her ass. Because if she gets as annoying, but actually she's starting to, especially with this jukebox shit, she is starting to get to the point of Angela annoyance. Good God, please kill that woman soon. Take her out, because she is starting to get on my nerves. Real talk. So we see Marvin. Marvin is on the corners and he giving his guys the guns, right? So then we see Kanan. I was trying to figure out last week what the significance of that jacket was that Lulu took out of Unique's back seat, right? So Kanan putting that jacket on there. You guys remember that Kanan was supposed to be meeting up with Howard. And at the end of the episode, at this point, I figured it out. Actually, it wasn't even at this point. It was when Rock was telling Kanan, he gonna have to kill a man, right? And when she was telling him how to shoot here, twice here, and in the head, I'm like, oh shit, Howard, you about to die, nigga. And that's exactly what happened. Kanan was sent to kill Howard, and he shot him. He pop, and then he went up and popped him again. I'm like, oh shit. So he has that jacket on, and I'm guessing. So the jacket, he said, because even Howard said that ain't your jacket. That's Unique's jacket, basically. So when this comes back, it's gonna come back on Unique. But how is the question? I'm hoping that this all doesn't backfire on Rock. That's really what I'm hoping, that none of this comes back on my girl. Y'all know I love me some Rock. I just really hope that this shit doesn't come back and bite Rock in the ass. I know she's trying to get rid of her, get rid of all the ops, right? But I just hope it don't bite. I hope it don't bite my girl in the ass. But that's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else, and share the video. And until the next one, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys later. Let me know in the comment section, do you guys know when Power Book 2 Ghost is coming back? Because I haven't heard anything about Ghost yet, so I don't know when that's coming back. But we'll talk about it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.